Hello everyone, Gung Ho Guns here and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going over the best leveling build to get you to level 50 faster than a caffeine fueled speedrunner. That's right. And yes, before you ask, you can totally swap out all your weapon and skill progression to whatever weapon combo you want once you hit the big 5-0. Trust me, after grinding 2 characters to level 50 during early access, so much caffeine was involved. This is hands down the easiest way to get to 50 with this build. So grab your controller or keyboard, kick back, and let's level up. If you are planning on playing TNL, I will be playing on the server Lazlan. So if you are looking for people to play with and enjoy this game together, consider joining the Mando community. We will be pushing endgame content for PvE as well as competing in PvP on all fronts. One final little plug here, I promise. I am grinding to 10k subs and I would very much appreciate if you guys hit that subscribe button. Only, of course, if you enjoyed the video. So let's get into it. All right, let's jump into it. So I am playing the crossbows and daggers build. And this is why I think you should play it as well. I was having a lot of issues, or challenges, I should say, playing a melee class as I was leveling and learning the game. There was a lot of bosses that I failed on. There was a lot of things that I couldn't do solo. And I'm seeing a lot of people in general chat do the same thing where they're just having a lot of issues with their melee builds. I'm not saying the ranged is better by all means. I'm just saying it's a lot easier to level 50 and get everything you need as a range, because it's a little easier to level and kind of kill these bosses, you know, one-on-one and things like that. So again, I will give you the full build and how to actually play it here. Also, at the end, I'm going to show you how to swap your skill progression to whatever build you want at level 50. Like, for example, I went Crusader, so it's the, crossboard sword. I swapped all the big attacks to it. Do you need to do that? Absolutely not. It's really super easy to level, and we're only going to level into a certain part as well. So let's just jump into it really quick. All right, let's quickly jump into it. So starting off with quickfire. This is going to be your main bread and butter. This is where all your damage or most of your damage is going to come from. So it's very important that you start to level this one up ASAP. As soon as you can, start leveling it up every chance you get, because most of your damage is going to come from this, okay? So again, that is quickfire. Very, very important. The second move I want to talk about is inject venom. And again, you're going to get this right off the bat at level 1. Inject venom is a self buff. So the way it works is when you activate it, it puts a poison on all your weapons, so all your moves will do additional dot damage. So to consider it a self buffer that you start off with. And then the other move in this combo is the Mortal Mark from the Tree of the Crossbow, the third move over. This is kind of reminds me of the old school hunter in World of Warcraft when you mark the enemy for death, when you put that little mark on them. This kind of works like that, where you mark the enemy pretty much for death, and you can do a lot more damage once this is on there because it weakens them. So that is, I want you to focus on these three until you are more comfortable with it. This is the very first combo again. So what we're going to do is, and this is if you see how I positioned it on my toolbar, 1, 2, and 3. First thing I'm going to do is inject venom, power myself up. 2, I'm going to mark the enemy, and then I'm going to finish it with quick fire. And this is the way that works. And again, we have one right here. And remember, with the crossbow, you cannot be too far. It's mid-range, so it's about right there, about 10 feet is your range that you want to be on. So what we're going to do, again, one more time, is power ourselves up, mark, and then enemy. And again, the cool part is you can just kind of, and these are level 1 moves, by the way. You see how things are dying really quick. You don't have to stand still for this. This is a build that is on the go. This kind of, the true power of this build is you're 100% on the go. So one more time, we're going to do this one more time, okay? We are going to power ourselves up with inject venom. We're going to mark the enemy with Mortal Mark, and then we're going to kill it with quick fire. And it's like this. As you see right there, I'm just dancing around them and they can't really do anything. And this is majority of how most of the fights went in the game as I was leveling. Nobody really came close. And again, just to show you guys, I transferred all this stuff to my, to my main build now. But the quick fire I had all the way up to level 5 blue. And this is what I recommend. You guys take all of these moves as you level them, at least to level 5. So this is your number one priority, is the quick fire. Get that one first up as much as you can. The second priority that you should do is actually one of your passives that you get. And this is called the Assassin Step. Now, if you'll notice right here, this little blue bar, this mana bar, I'm sure you've noticed, especially if you're playing this game. Let me actually get this really quick as I'm talking. As you're playing this game, you're going to notice you're going to run out of mana really quick, especially because, if you're spamming these moves, things are just going to go crazy. So what this passive does right here, the Assassin Step, after you defeat a target, your mana is regen by 24% and your movement speed is increased by 12%. It's pretty awesome. I see it come up all the time. It's super effective. Once you get this one as well, you should prioritize getting this one enchanted all the way up to blue status, or maybe even finishing off the blue status. What I mean by that is just level it up with these quality books until you get to the blue, 5 blue, and then stop right there. I wouldn't go into the purple yet because unless you're going to play this build fully, I would stop it at that. So that is your number one combo for this build and your main bread and butter. Let's go on to the next one. All right, the next combo that I want you to focus on is actually going to be exclusive to the daggers, and that is going to be also available at level 1. Once you feel more comfortable, you can actually start doing this, and that involves these two moves on the bottom that I have at 7 and 8, and it's just for purpose of showing it to you guys. The Shadow Strike is kind of like that Shadow Step in most games where you teleport, behind the enemy. It's kind of that gap closer that you teleport right behind them. It does some really good moves. On top of that, it blinds them, silences, all that good stuff. And then you're going to hit him with Brutal Incision, which is also available, I believe, at level 1 or level 11 or something. So you should be able to get this pretty early on. And the way this is going to work is you're going to Shadow Strike, Brutal Incision into them. And eventually, once you unlock this move right here called the Ankle Strike, you're going to add to this combo. But I believe you're going to get this in your mid game. So for now, don't worry about this one. Just get these two right here. And again, the Shadow Strike and the Brutal Incision. So it's really up to you how you want to open with this. I normally just open up with the Inject Venom, Mortal Mark, hit my quick fire, and then I'll go into the Shadow Strike and Brutal Incision as I teleport to them. However, these things are going to die. So we're going to see if you can maybe do one here. Here's my perfect teleport, smack, and it's kind of like an execute. These are, by the way, again, level 1 moves. I was hitting 3-4K early on with the Brutal Incision. So it's like a really big execute. I'll like instantly kill this thing. So let's see if you can find like a stronger enemy here that we can fight. Yeah, this guy should do. And teleport, and then yeah, he kind of died before I could do anything. And as you see, as you are doing this, as long as you are on the run, you're really going to have the advantage over anything. I'm just going to show you without doing these. I'm just going to show you this combo one more time because I think these guys are dying a little too quick. So you see the enemy. Again, we're going to Shadow Strike and then teleport and hit him. And then you just get out of there. Get out of there. And then as you execute. Just like that. Remember, the main power of this build is your ability to move. Do not stand still with it, okay? So that is the first two combos of this game. Now, let's continue how to build in mid-game as you kind of get a little closer to that. All right, so now we are mid-level, level 30-ish or so. We got a bunch of new skills. So before we do anything, I'm actually going to turn off these settings, and I'm going to show them to you why this is very important before we even start. So in your settings, okay, so you go to your settings, in controls, under control up top, move down to attack, okay? You want to select these two and have them checked in. Aim skills, lock on target, and snap on target on ground directional. I'm just going to turn them off for this example, and I'm going to show you what this does. So if you look, for example, my new AoE attack, knife throwing, right? If I'm trying to click on it, I have to aim where I want him to throw. This might be a little too much, especially early on. I definitely was not having a good time with this, especially like if I'm fighting somebody, for example. As you see, I have to not only contend, and especially if I'm teleporting and moving, I missed this attack 99% of the time. I'm not even going to lie. So what this ability does, or this setting, again, if you turn these two on, when you click this, for example, as long as you have it targeted, it puts it at their feet. That way, when you are moving and firing and being all that you can be in this build, it will put it at their feet. So you're never going to miss this, okay? So this is why it's very important that we go ahead and we get those two settings in 100%. And again, I would recommend this to anybody. Get these two in, especially early on. Now, let's continue. So your combo, again, the one that we had, and inject them or inject venom, mortal mark, and quick fire are still your main combo. However, we're going to build on it. There's two moves that you're going to get that are AoEs, and this is going to be called the knife throwing and the multi-shot. You should be able to get these pretty early on. I believe like level 25, 31 or something. I think this one's like 32. So you're going to be able to get these pretty early on, and you're going to add into them. Again, you do not have to do this. You can stick with the main combo, but I like to add him because he adds that AoE element to it as well. It turns my build into not only single target, but also AoE at the same time as well. And the way that's going to work is, again, you're going to inject venom. So you're going to have that buff. You're going to mark the enemy. You're going to hit him with your quick fire, which is your main hitting ability, along with throwing knives and multi-shot. And it looks something like this. There's that one. Pretty good. Oh, this guy wanted to. This guy wanted to. As you see, you can easily kite him around as you're waiting for these moves to come back. Now, obviously, as you progress and level your moves up here, you're going to be able to get faster cooldown. So eventually, your quick fire will be off cooldown the entire time. You're just going to be able to brutally kill anything that moves. But adding these two moves, going back to it, really, really does help. The second combo that we have, we're going to add more to it. Now, the second combo that we're going to do is, our execute, if you will, brutal incision. Now we're going to add the ankle strike as well to it. And we're also going to get that nimble leap that you're going to get pretty early on as well, which I believe you get at level 2. We're going to start incorporating that here as well. You can also incorporate this, by the way, right off the bat. I forgot to mention that. So the way that this move works is whatever direction you're pointing at. So like, for example, if you're strafing right, this is going to move to the right 5 feet. But that's not the important part. The important part is that it increases attack speed by 20%, range increase by 20%, and critical damage by 6%. So we have a that increased by 6% for half a second. So you want to use a quick move to hit that, right off the bat. So the way that I like to do this, okay? The way that I like to do this is I like to do the ankle strike right before the quick fire. And I would encourage you guys to keep that, or the nimble leap right before the quick fire. Up to you if you guys want to do this. It's half a second. You might not be able to time it correctly, but if you do, you're definitely going to get it. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to incorporate it with that. But we're going to first just stick with the basic attack of these three. And again, shadow strike, brutal, ankle strike. And the way that looks is something like this. And you put them on the floor, and then you escape out of there, and you can just finish them off. So as you see, adding the ankle strike, majority of the time, it trips them on the floor and just puts them on their ass, so you can get out of there and disengage. Let's try that one more time. And again, I'm not going to use any of these moves because these are going to die. I'm just going to use the combo. So as we see here, pop, pop, strike, and then it's on the floor. You can just disengage and walk away. The other moves that you're going to unlock as well is these two now, the Selfless Diffusion and the Mother's Nature. You definitely want to start using these buffs as well. They're not as important as sticking with these moves, but they're actually really, really good because they just increase give you more buffs and increases your damage as more. And eventually, you're going to unlock the camouflage cloak, which is kind of like your, oh shit, I'm going to stealth out and get the hell out of here. I would get these passes right here because I believe these are the best ones to give you the most damage and make things easier. Let me actually go over this really quick. Is your skill points. I would prioritize getting into Perception 30 before doing anything else. The reason for that is your hit chance. I'm sure you've noticed you've been missing a lot, right? Once you get to Perception 30, that is going to go away. You're not going to miss as much. After that, I would do your dexterity and your wisdom kind of one off each other. What wisdom does is it fixes your mana problems. It gives you so you don't have any, max mana, max mana, max regen, things like that, right? So if you're having mana problems, if you're running out of mana, maybe prioritize wisdom over dexterity. If you don't, I would do dexterity first then and kind of get into both of these as you level. But perception should be your number one priority. Get it to level 30 ASAP. That should give you more than enough hit chance that you're going to not be missing as much. All right, and finally, the gear. Do not pay attention to these. Is again the ones that I'm kind of working on more for the other build, my main build with the swords. But what you should prioritize is honestly, again, with the greens, it really doesn't matter. If you start getting the blues, I would do something with, again, max health, ranged invasion, ranged endurance, uh, melee invasion, attack speed, anything that has those, I would encourage you guys to get those for now. Especially in the blue, because remember, once you move on to whatever build you're playing, or if you stick with this one, you can just, if you go right over here, you can transfer, for example, I would be here, you can transfer everything over to whatever build or, whatever thing that you want. You can transfer all the progression into that weapon. Same thing with the skills, by the way. If you like, for example, like let's say, remember earlier I mentioned I was going to show you how to do this. Let's say that you use this build for leveling and you want to switch to whatever build. If you, for example, click on this one, you can do swap. It will swap this progression of this one to whatever skill that you want for every other build. It does take a skill conversion book. That's why you should be very careful with doing this, but you definitely can. All right, and that concludes the video. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you give this a try. Please don't forget to subscribe and like. Also in the comments, let me know what you think of the build, if there's anything that you would change or make better. I definitely want to make a community here for everybody where we share information to help each other, become better players and enjoy this game a little bit more. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate each of you. Don't forget to join Mando if you're looking for people to play with, and we will see you in the next one. Take care, everybody.